All right. We are live streaming
Great.
to YouTube.
All right. I'm just going to wait until it clicks up to 5 o'clock and then we'll get started. And Terry, I'm going to do a very short introduction and then introduce Terry, and away we go. And there I am. So welcome everyone to tonight's or this afternoon's or wherever you are in the world concert sponsored by Musicians for the Greater Good. We're at www.musiciansforthegreatergood.org. And our concert today is themed Earth Day, Act Locally. And I was thinking about that, and I said, if you start local and make a difference, it can spread like wildfire. Oops, that's not a good way to think of it. But eventually you can save the planet. So we have a bunch of performers lined up for our Earth Day Act Locally theme, and we'll be saying more as the show progresses. But I want to start by introducing a good friend of mine and a very talented singer-songwriter, Terry Kitchen. Terry's been called one of New England's best songwriters by the Boston Globe, and Terry creates songs that are portraits of ordinary people and emotions captured with extraordinary compassion, honesty, and humor. He's been performing on folk stages across the country since the 1990s, releasing a dozen albums of distinctive literate musical storytelling. His latest CD, Lost Songs, recently debuted at number 13 on the National Folk DJ chart. In the 80s, he was the leader of the groundbreaking Boston band Loose Ties, whose experience he recounts in his novel Next Big Thing. He's also published a short story collection called Coping Mechanisms in 2020, and you can find more about Terry Kitchen at www.terrykitchen.com. So please take it away, Terry.
Yay, Terry.
And please unmute yourself, Terry.
Mute yourself, Terry, please.
That was intentional, guys.
Yeah.
A lot of
Everyone
people
else,
say that
please.
I sound the best when I'm muted. So this first song is set in the future, but the future is getting closer and closer every day, so we really got to start paying attention. My granddad drove a Mustang convertible. He drove it to the beach each day after school. He walked barefoot on sand. He was bleached blonde and tan, and the water on his skin felt cool. Well, that's how it used to be, long before you and me. Back before the sun and the rain were our enemy. This whole planet was home. You could walk outside the dome and see all the way to Mercury. That's how it used to be. Yeah, that's how it used to be. My grandma had a garden in her backyard. She'd dig in the dirt to plant her seed, then watch as it grew into something brand new, and the blossoms would smell so sweet. Yeah, that's how it used to be, long before you and me. Back before the sun and the rain were our enemy. this whole planet was home. You could walk outside the dome and see all the way to Mercury. That's how it used to be. Yeah, that's how it used to be. And maybe if we're good for the next million years, we can roll back this tinfoil sky. Until then we have books and old photographs to keep all the memories alive of just how it used to be. Back before the sun and the rain were our enemy, this whole planet was home. You could walk outside the dome and see all the way to Mercury. That's how it used to be. Yeah, that's how it used to be. Yeah, that's how it used to be. That's how it used to be.
Beautiful, Terry. Thanks so much.
Oh, thank you so much. And like I said, you know, that's a future that I hope never comes, but we are on the way. Scientists estimate we only have about 60 more crop harvests in our current soil, the way we're using chemical fertilizers and wearing out all of the nutrients that are built into the natural soil. So we really gotta start paying attention to every phase of the ecosystems in our planet. So back in 1970, the very first Earth Day, there was a band from San Francisco called Spirit, and they wrote a song for that first Earth Day, which is called Nature's Way. And I recorded it, and my friend Karen Sauer took the video and added some images of the coming apocalypse. So now it's really scary as hell, but you can find it on YouTube, and it's worth taking a look. And this is called Nature's Way. It's nature's way of telling you something's wrong. It's nature's way of telling you in a song. It's nature's way of receiving you. It's nature's way of retrieving you. It's nature's way of telling you something's wrong. It's nature's way of telling you dying trees. It's nature's way of telling you softer breeze. It's nature's way of receiving you. It's nature's way of retrieving you. It's nature's way of telling you something's wrong. It's nature's way of telling us we're not alone. All the creatures here with us need a home. It's nature's way of reminding us she's running out of time with us. It's nature's way of telling you something's wrong. Something's wrong. Something's wrong.
Beautiful, Terry. Thanks so much.
Well, thank you so much, and thanks for giving me the honor of starting off the show today. Everybody stick around. It's going to be great.
It certainly will. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Terry Kitchen.
Great
Terry
stuff.
will be back for a closing song at the end. And this format of one or a couple songs is I think it's good in the sense that it makes you want to hear more. So you want to, the performers tonight, you'll hear a song and you'll say, boy, I want to hear more by that person. You have to go hunt them down and see what they got. So next up, we're going to have the Chris Mancini from Save the Harbor, Save the Bay. And we were thinking about, what could we raise money for this concert? We've done a bunch of concerts in the fall for the Biden-Harris campaign. We did Lakota Kids we raised last month. And for me, Boston Harbor is incredibly personal. I grew up on Boston Harbor. I go out there as much as I can. And I said, boy, one of the things that Save the Harbor, Save the Bay did over the years that you may have noticed is the Harbor Walk. If you go around the Moakley Courthouse or around the New England Aquarium, if you can walk right next to the ocean, it's probably because of Save the Harbor, Save the Bay. But another thing that they do that's been a really real blessing is the free cruises, the all-access Boston Harbor cruises, and that's what we're raising money for today. And so I'd like to introduce next up Chris Mancini, who's the executive director of Save the Harbor, Save the Bay. Chris joined Save the Harbor in 2017, leading programs on the beaches and the water. He brings a lifelong love of the outdoors, the ocean, and music to his role at the Boston area's leading voice for clean water and public access to our spectacular urban natural resources. So please welcome Chris Mancini.
Thank you so much, Mike.
Hey,
Thank you,
Chris.
everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys. Thanks, Neil. Thanks, Terry. Thank you all for including us in this fantastic event. It's a personal kind of thrill for me because going way back, I've been a fan of a number of these performers. I remember seeing Terry Kitchen a number of times at places like the Falcon Ridge Folk Festival when I was in high school and college, and I was a big folk music fan for most of my life, and so to be called up to the big leagues here is exciting. So I'm honored to be presenting in my own way or performing alongside all of you today. I do want to just talk really briefly about Save the Harbor, Save the Bay for those of you who may not know as much about kind of what we do and where we've been. And just to share a couple of the programs that are all free, open to the public. But Save the Harbor was founded in 1986. And we are the region's leading voice for clean water and continued public investment in Boston Harbor Island, the beaches and the harbor itself. And so our mission is really to protect and restore the harbor. And for those, you may know that for many years, Boston Harbor was literally a sewer. For all the cities and towns around here, we're pumping nearly untreated sewage into the harbor. And thanks to the efforts of our organization and many partners, we now have the cleanest urban beaches in the country here in Boston, in South Boston, and all of the metropolitan beaches from Nahant and Nantasket are doing much better than they were many years ago. And so we're really proud of 30 years of success that brings, our voice for clean water, public engagement, including the free cruises that Mike was talking about. And, just wanted to share, we continue to do our environmental advocacy every year. We issue our water quality report card and, just a snapshot of how the beaches are doing. And, I'm just thinking back, 20 years ago, we would do a fundraiser. We'd do a beach bash and splash. And every couple of years it had to get canceled because the water wasn't clean enough to swim in. And now that water in South Boston is clean, swimmable and clean for swimming, and 100% of the time, every day. We also manage the Metropolitan Beaches Commission for the Massachusetts State Legislature, working on improving Boston Harbor's beaches from Nahant to Nantasket and strengthening our waterfront communities and neighborhoods.
Hello.
Oh, and I have a guest here. You may not be able to see her with my fake background, but this is my daughter, May, who you can also see in this photo from our Better Beaches program, which is a grants program that we do every year. You're behind my shared screen here, May. And we're actually just issued the RFP, and so we're seeking grants applications for programs that will activate and create free programs on our beaches this year in 2021. Obviously, it's an unusual year. We're hopefully coming out of the COVID-19 pandemic. People are getting their vaccines, and we're kind of looking for creative ways that we can activate the beaches this year. But the thing that we're really trying to raise money here today, and thank you all to everyone who's donated already, is our youth environmental education programs, especially our free ferry trips out to Spectacle and George's Island around the Inner Harbor. And this is a great program. It's what kind of kicked off our free programs. Once we realized we had clean water and we wanted to connect people to these resources, it started with 500 kids in the first year, and May has been on those trips, firsthand, right? Yeah. And in 2019, I'm really proud to say we brought over 35,000 people out for free programs on cruises and on the beaches. Obviously, 2020 was an unusual year, and you can see our Not a Typical Summer video on our website at savetheharbor.org. But we are hoping this year to get back into sharing these trips again, our Share of the Harbor trips. These are all open to the public. All of you are invited. We hope you'll join us out on the water and when we're able to get back to it. So I want to thank everybody again for including us, Mike, Neil, everybody performing. Thank you so much for including us in this. And we're really hoping and looking forward to seeing you all out on the beaches and the harbor.
Thanks so much, Chris. With you and company.
Where's me?
Yeah, well, I said and company. Did you help, Daddy?
Yeah.
Did you help? You did a great job.
They're complimenting you. She can't really hear you because I've got my headphone in.
Oh, I see. Well, tell her we're saying good things about her.
Well, thank you very much, Chris.
Thanks so much, Chris. It was great to see you and hear you, and hope to see you again soon. And thanks for all the great work you're doing with Save the Harbor, Save the Bay.
Thank you, Neil.
Thank you.
Thanks, everyone.
And I do want to give a shout out to my good friend from Save the Harbor, Save the Bay, Bruce Berman. I've worked with Bruce for decades, and he's a real champion of Boston Harbor. I want to do one quick screen share here, just to remind everybody that we're asking for donations for the free all-access Boston Harbor cruises. And at our webpage, there's a dedicated link that gets tallied for us at www.musiciansforthegreatergood.org. There's a big red donate button, and that will be how the funds are collected for Save the Harbor, Save the Bay. All right, I'm going to move right along. I promised I would. And our next performer is Joan Lang. Joan wrote her first book when she was 5 and continues to write, driven by her lifelong commitment as an environmentalist, equality and human rights advocate, and poet and entrepreneur. And she's been a spokesperson for UNICEF. She's worked with President Carter to promote solar energy and alternative fuels, and writes to Open Eyes and Open Lives. Please welcome Joan Lang.
Hi, I'm truly honored to be here, and I agree with you, Chris. Education is so important that we really have to show people the beauty and open eyes in that way with our words and song, and bring action. And since Neil mentioned it, I'm giving a plug. Here's my I'm at Poetic Gazette, and poeticgazette.com is my website. I've written a book, a series of books called Daffodils in the Dark during COVID. And one of the volumes is all about the environment. I've written so many poems during my whole life about it, but we truly must take the broken pieces of this year and make a vessel to keep each other close and safe. And I've been on a lot of Zoom events this week, some people from Hamilton and Greta Thunberg, and everyone's trying to bring the urgency to the forefront to let people know that we don't want to see a future that that could possibly be with everything interacting and making everything much worse than anyone could have ever imagined. And we need to change our relationship to Mother Earth and each other. And I, again, appreciate what the Harbors Group is doing to bring that to the forefront. We need to make a difference in our relationships. And I have other poems like that are on my Instagram for Forest for the Trees that addresses the moment where the Amazon was burning. It was the 400th anniversary of slavery, and discussing the interaction between the violence towards each other and our people and the earth, and especially Indigenous and people of color. And we see that it's all related and all one. And one of my other poems, I'm sorry, is the words directly from Mother Earth's mouth, but they're more activist poems. And today's poem, I would like to say, is sort of a tapestry of peace and healing for this beautiful vessel of Mother Earth and our beautiful vessel of singers and poets. It's just a beautiful, wonderful thing we've done. It's almost like we willed a president into being that who actually cares and acts on the issues when we've sang and had spoken word. And now we have a guilty verdict to show that there's a precedent so that no more George Floyds will have to live in fear. And it's one of the things that's so important is that one of the reasons that greed has been able to manifest so greatly is because people are seen as expendable, and the places where these dumping and things are taking place are because they don't think that people's lives matter. And we know that every life matters, and we have to have an earth to live our lives on and to be gracious to each other. The year of clearer vision, virus. As we saw them singing in Wuhan, we thought they were the only ones. This state Earth is in is like hate. It only takes place as we see ourselves as separate, as an other, not one. How could we predict this catalyzed climate catastrophe, attempting to seal our fate? We didn't have to wait for Greta Thunberg and Richard Attenborough to say, this is a crisis. Wake up before it's too late. One earth, one sky, one ocean, not separate seas. We need to see that all water flows as one. Not one drop comes to us that we have not released. As we sing to each other from open windows and hunger for another to speak and miss the tiny little things this year, we realize in this year of perfect vision that Mother Earth, without a mouth to shout her truth, has spoken volumes with an economy of words. As we finally hear the birds sing and tend towards kindness and care for a friend whom we may not even know yet, sit in our ownness, it is clear we are truly blessed. This is not a mess. This is our manifested destiny. Abruptly, like a mother turning on a light to wake her child for school, Mother Earth woke us up and said, rescue me, rescue me. Was it too much to ask that you throw away the plates, the cups, and the toys you used today? Standing out from the crowd, Greta's fearlessness was born out of the fear of what we are experiencing now, here. Stand clear of yourselves. Instead of trying to mitigate, activate. With COVID, we now find ourselves growing our own food, reusing and appreciating everything that comes our way. Nothing lost and more found in what is around us. No longer needing one more thing. Gathering our dignity from kindness and being close to our families instead of constantly running and competing and consuming. Retreating from the status quo to keep us whole. making an unsigned pact with earth and heart, acknowledging the hurt. Actions speak louder than words. Through COVID-19, rebirth. If not now, tell me when. If not now, tell me when. We may never see this moment, a place and time again. If not now, tell me when. So we'll work until it's done. Every daughter, every son, every soul that ever longed for something better. It will take a change of heart for this to mend. It will take a change of heart for this to mend. But miracles do happen every shining now and then. If not now, tell me when.
Thank you, Joan.
Thank you.
Beautiful, Joan. Thank you so much.
Love you guys.
Love you right back.
Thanks, Joan. We're going to move along now. Next up is going to be Art Grossman. Growing up in the late 50s and 60s, Art was greatly influenced by the folk music revolution. He was attracted to the simplicity of these performers, using only their voices and acoustic guitars to tell their collective stories through their songs. Among his favorites are Bob Dylan, Joan Baez, Gordon Lightfoot, Joni Mitchell, Don McLean, Simon and Garfunkel, John Denver, and Tom Paxton. He was also admired the artists of the 50s, including the Everly Brothers, the Kingston Trio, and the lesser-known local talents such as Bill Staines and David Mallet. Please welcome Art Grossman.
Thank you very much.
Yo, Art.
Hey, thanks, Neil. Thanks for having me. And yes, I am a huge fan of Dave Mallet, and he writes lots of songs that I think can be sung around Earth Day and things related to Earth Day. So I just picked one of them. I called it a song called the Garden Song. More than welcome to sing along. Not that I'll hear you, but you're more than welcome to. Inch by inch and row by row, gonna make this garden grow. All it takes is a rake and a hoe and a piece of fertile ground. Inch by inch and row by row, someone bless these seeds I sow. Someone warm them from below till the rains come tumbling down. Pulling weeds and picking stones, man is made of dreams and bones. Feel the need to grow my own, 'cause the time is close at hand. Grain for grain, sun and rain, find my way in nature's chain. Tune my body and my brain to the music from the land. Inch by inch and row by row, gonna make this garden grow. All it takes is a rake and a hoe and a piece of fertile ground. Inch by inch and row by row, someone bless these seeds I sow. Someone warm them from below till the rains come tumbling down. Plant your rows straight and long, temper them with prayer and song. Mother Earth will make you strong if you give her love and care. An old crow watching hungrily from his perch in yonder tree. And in my garden I'm as free as that feathered thief up there. Inch by inch and row by row, gonna make this garden grow. All it takes is a rake and a hoe and a piece of fertile ground. Inch by inch and row by row, someone bless these seeds I sow. Someone warn them from below till the rains come tumbling down. The garden song.
Beautiful art. So great to have you in the house.
Yeah.
I give you up.
Love your background there too, Mr. Oops. So, great thing. I'm just going to take the bullhorn for just a minute to introduce our next performer, who's a dear friend of all of ours, and it's the one and only Mike Delaney. Mike is a Boston area singer-songwriter, and he's been part of so many things, including an open mic that he and I began in 2009 called Rosendale Open Mic. He has released CDs, including hit the Boston Harbor, No Longer Dirty Water, which I think is so appropriate for this very, very program that we're running today. He recruited fellow open micers for Open Mic the Musical a couple of years back. And for the last, previous to this administration, he wrote a wonderful year-long Persist Resist 2020, was what it was called. And it was working on a production of one person called Petty Dictator the Musical. I'll say no more. He can be found more at mikedelaney.org. Let's hear it for the one and the only Mike Delaney, everybody.
Yay, Mike.
Thank you, Neil. Thank you, everybody. So I talked the musicians for the Greater Good organizers into letting me play two songs, and so I'm not going to say much more except that I love Boston Harbor, as you can tell. But the first one I wrote a while ago. It's in a style that I call green grass, and the great thing about writing environmental songs is they never go out of style. They still work. So here it is. Our humble earth has been lush and fertile with anything anyone needs. Food and space and pristine water and time enough to succeed. But that ozone layer has gotten holy and froggies' legs are deformed, and the coral reefs are bleached and dying, and the atmosphere has been warmed. When we trash this planet, we'll just find another. There's plenty more in the stars. When we trash this planet, we'll exclaim, oh brother, and head into space in our cars. When all the land has become a landfill and the ocean's full of toxic waste, and the sky above is gray and smoggy, it might be time to make haste. When we breathe the final oxygen atom and use the last drop of oil, it's too late to start saving whales or recycling aluminum foil. When we trash this planet, we'll just find another and another and another. There's plenty more in the stars. When we trash this planet, we'll exclaim, oh brother, and head into space in our cars. stars, we must get good mileage and have a whopping gas tank and seating for about 10 billion. I think that just might break the bank. And everyone won't sit next to a window or have a holder for their cup. And you better have a big steel bladder. It's a million years before we gas up. When we trash this planet, we'll just find another, and another, and another, and another, and another, and another. There's plenty more in the stars. When we trash this planet, we'll exclaim, oh brother, and head into space in our cars.
Yo, Mike, that was
Hey.
Woo! All right.
Trash this
Rocket
planet.
Mike.
So I get to play another song because it's an introduction for the next speaker, who happens to be my wife. And this song is about her, and it's called Good Trouble. Someone called her the quiet one. That really made me smile. She's anything but quiet. She gets people riled. She knows what is right, gets you going or shoves you aside. She's a bulldozer. There's nowhere left to hide. She's good trouble, necessary trouble. She speaks her mind out loud. She's good trouble, necessary trouble. John Lewis would be proud. She doesn't need Twitter or her own Facebook page. She can get the word out. She can spark some rage. Local causes rile her up. Pushing back doesn't budge her a smidge. She's out there for all to see on her own Edmund Pettus Bridge. She's good trouble, necessary trouble. She speaks her mind out loud. She's good trouble, necessary trouble. John Lewis would be proud. One day she hit a nerve, got a letter to cease and desist. But that only stiffened her resolve. She wanted to protest and resist. But inside she may have her doubts, always wanting to do what's right, making sure to help the weak and fragile till their future is looking bright. She's good trouble, necessary trouble. She speaks her mind out loud. She's good trouble, necessary trouble. John Lewis would be proud. She's good trouble, necessary trouble. She speaks her mind out loud. She's good trouble, necessary trouble. John Lewis would be proud. John Lewis would be proud. John Lewis would be proud.
Oh, Mike, that was great.
Trouble.
Thank you.
Yay, Mike.
Thank you very much. It is with my utmost pleasure to introduce my wife and best friend, Joan Delaney. She's going to talk about her local campaign to open up Thompson Island in Boston Harbor to greater public access. And while she's speaking, we're going to show a drone video of Thompson Island that was filmed by our good friend Wendy Chang, and also some of Joan's pictures from Thompson Island. And I'm going to share my screen and get the video going. And then I'm going to turn it over to Joan.
Did you know there is a Boston Harbor Island you can walk to at low tide from Quincy's Nickerson Beach in Squantum? Thompsons Island is a 200-acre Boston Harbor island that can be accessed at low tide by a large sandbar. This means you can walk from Quincy to Thompsons Island. Many times each month, the tide will be so low you can walk across the spit and visit the beaches surrounding Thompsons Island for several hours. It's a beautiful way to spend time outdoors. The law that allows people to walk the spit from Quincy to Thompsons Island is called the Colonial Ordinance. The Colonial Ordinance gives people important rights of public use within private tidelands, including fishing, birdwatching, and surfing. Accordingly, the public has access to any so-called private beach or tideland area as long as they are legitimately engaged in fishing, fouling, or navigation. In 2002, the Commonwealth of Massachusetts and the National Park Service paid $4 million of taxpayers' money to Thompsons Island Outward Bound Education Center to agree to a grant of conservation restriction. This designated 150 acres, almost the entire island, as conservation areas and protected it from development. Thompsons Island Outward Bound is required to allow unescorted public access to these conservation areas year-round via ferry, but this isn't happening. In addition to preserving the conservation areas, the conservation restriction is also supposed to enhance public access of Thompsons Island. In 2002, the year the conservation restriction was signed, there were 19,000 visitors to Thompsons Island. This number included 6,000 participants in educational programs. This was according to the Boston Harbor Island's General Management Plan. In 2012, 10 years later, when Mark Albert of the National Park Service did the conservation restriction assessment, he noted there were only 128 visitors, down from 19,000. He stated in his report that this was a problem that needed a solution. Thompsons Island is supposed to be open to the public, but this isn't happening. Instead, a very few Boston public school children spend a bit of time there. Thompson Island is a commercial property that holds weddings and corporate events to raise money for the National Outward Bound, with very little benefit for Greater Boston. There are two separate but equally important issues. First, the Colonial Ordinance allows for citizens to walk on the sandbar between Quincy and Thompsons Island and walk the beaches as long as they are birding, fishing, or navigating. It would be important to carry either a camera, binoculars, or a fishing rod. The second issue is that Thompson Island Outward Bound Education has not honored the conservation restriction, and the National Park Service and DCR are not enforcing the conservation restriction. Thompsons Island doesn't pay any taxes. They contribute nothing but providing a brief learning experience for Boston public school kids. Thompsons Island Outward Bound is required to provide access to the island year-round. That's not happening. It is time that Thompsons Island Outward Bound be held accountable. I have spoken about this at Boston Harbor Island's partnership meetings. I've been so adamant about this that Thompsons Island has sent me a cease and desist letter and threatened to arrest me. I guess I have their attention. It is time that Thompsons Island Outward Bound be held accountable and for the National Park Service and DCR to do their jobs of enforcing the conservation restriction. People need a green space now more than ever. Walking across the sandbar along the beaches around Thompsons Island provides this opportunity. This is an issue of environmental justice. Otherwise, the Boston Harbor Islands are only available if you have lots of cash for a boat ride or your own private yacht. The money donated at tonight's concert will help to provide free ferry days with Save the Harbor, Save the Bay. Thanks to all of you.
Thanks, Joan. That was great.
Okay, thank you, Joan.
Yeah.
We didn't see the video.
You didn't?
I didn't.
No, I was trying to. I sent you a text and.
Me too.
Okay, so we'll put the video on YouTube, up on YouTube, and maybe we'll play it at the end if. How could that happen? We tried it out.
Yeah, I know. Maybe the
Playing
run.
at the end is a great idea. I'd love to see it.
It's a beautiful
Yeah.
video. It's really
It
special.
really is. It's beautiful. Yeah.
All right. All right. So
We got the message, though. We got the
Yes,
message.
you got the
Got the
message.
message clear-
And we're
clean
going to
and
also
clear from
be
Joan.
when the tide is right. We're going to be posting probably on my Facebook page. Folk Mike Delaney leading walks out there from Squantum. It's a great thing. All right, I'm going to move right along to our next performer, and he is Tristan Israel. Tristan is a singer-songwriter who lives on Martha's Vineyard in Massachusetts, and he has been performing in public since the early 70s. when he was with the band The Pencil Tappers. Tristan has been a fixture on the local music scene, and his style of writing and playing is unique, blending many musical influences from old country blues to folk and rock and even some jazz. You can hear some of his music at tristanisrael.hearnow.com or tristanisrael.com. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Tristan Israel.
Hey, Tristan. Good to see you.
Hi guys, thank you so much. Thank you so much for hosting this great event. Musicians for the Greater Org is such a great idea, and I enjoy playing. I'm going to do this song. I live down on Martha's Vineyard, and so we certainly see the impacts of what's happening to the climate and the world down here. We all got to do what we can, especially to get the young people, the next generations involved, because ultimately it's going to be their world that we helped create, that they're going to inherit. Anyway, this is a song about I wrote last year, but it's about in the early 90s down here on the vineyard. There was a monarch butterfly swarm, so to speak, which I haven't seen in many years, especially in Aquinnah. And you would see the bushes. They were getting ready to migrate to Mexico, to a pine forest down in Mexico, and they travel thousands of miles across the ocean to get there. And of course, monarchs are, like everything else, are threatened. I try to preserve milkweed and butterfly weed here for them. The forests in Mexico where they are threatened. Chemicals have threatened them. But there's something very primal, kind of like the salmon going upstream. They know. I just get chills when I see them, and along with a lot of other creatures, try to do what I can and encourage others to help save them. So anyway, this is a song called Monarch on Milkweed, Leaving Aquinnah. Let me turn my I see you fly, flutter in the wind, and I sit and I wonder, will I ever see you again? Blaze of color, wings of lace, out on the water, flight of grand and gentle grace. Greenland's vanished, our gardens lost. What have we done now? What a cause, where are the bushes of orange and black? Lost to the poison, lost to our foolish wake up, see you like a fire in the sky, returning triumphant, and I'll wipe tears from my eyes. Is this a dream, or is this the end? It's burning. Can we savor in the end? Fly away from me, fly away on the breeze, like the lips of the south wind, across the ever-moving sea. Fly away from me, find your place in mine, and I pray that I see you again, the nearing end of time. Fly away, fly away, fly away.
Well, all right.
Beautiful.
Really nice, Tristan.
Beautiful
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Thanks for letting me play. I really enjoy it. I love hearing everybody else.
Thank you, Tristan. That was great. I've got a request from my wife to play the 3-minute video now rather than at the end, because we queued it up with our friends from the Butlers Pond, that Wendy Chang, who shot the video. So I am gonna, in fact, I think this time it'll work. So it's 3 minutes. It's there's no sound. Can you see that?
Yes.
Yes.
Ken, yes.
Okay, so here's this is the drone video of Butlers, of Thompson Island, and some pictures of from the island.
This is where you walk, Mike, right, to get from...
Yeah, so you go over to out to Squantum, to Nickerson Beach, the Nickerson Post. You walk a couple minutes down the through the to the Chapel Rocks area, and then across the spit, which is only open at low tide. And so you have to plan your visits to coincide with when the tide is low. And if there's a good low tide like there is right now, you can go over for about 4 hours, 2 hours before and 2 hours after low tide. The two bodies of water you can see are saltwater marshes that fill and drain with the tide. And there's a little bitty freshwater pond that's down by the dock that you can't really see in this video. And you can see the Boston Harbor skyline in the background. It's that close to South Boston. That's an oyster catcher. There's foxes out there. We during the pandemic a year ago, we saw a family of foxes living out on the island. Since it was so quiet out there, they had free rein. In the background to the right is Deer Island. Straight ahead across the island is Pleasure Bay and Castle Island. And then as the drone pans to the left, you'll be able to see the JFK Library. Now these harbor seals are out sunning themselves on rocks out there. That's a snow bunting. Cardinal. I think that's an eider duck. There's the iconic gas tank over on Southeast Expressway, and there on the left you can see the JFK Library. All right, that's about it. So I would like to thank Wendy Cheng for the drone video and Joan for the pictures, and hopefully you'll be able to come out with us someday and walk around Thompson Island.
Thank you, Joan. Thank you, Wendy. That was great. That was awesome.
All right, so I'm going to move right along and introduce our next performer, who is a very, very, very good friend of mine, Karen Sauer. Karen has been writing songs since she was 60, so that's like about a year. She started singing because who else was going to sing her songs? And she writes mostly about political rants and love songs, so there's no shortage of topics. Her songs and videos can be found at her webpage, karensauer.rocks. Please welcome my good friend, Karen Sauer.
Go,
Mike.
Karen.
Yay, Karen! Woohoo!
Thank you, thank you. So Mike sang a song about going to another planet in a car, but actually habitable planets are few and far between, and they're known as Goldilocks planets, actually, because they're not too hot and not too cold, they're just right. I needed to explain that term. This, I call this the deregulation heartsick blues. Come gather round, people, come running, admit that a cataclysm is coming. Ain't no shelter from the superstorm, don't say you ain't been warned. Glaciers melt and waters rise, building on stilts won't keep you dry. No lifeguard gonna hear your cries. If you can't afford a boat, better learn to float. Now don't go whining about pollution. That's a problem with a simple solution. You ought to drink bottled water. Why stop there? Try bottled air. Come on, everyone throughout the land. Act locally, make a stand. Act vocally, be defiant. Vote for folks who believe in science. Our Goldilocks planet pillaged for profit. When it's all used up, no way off it. Too much carbon in the air, weather gets weird. Too cold there, too hot here. Crops fail, know what I mean? Got a good recipe for Soylent Green? Here too dry, there too wet. Shrinking habitat's what you get. Species teetering on the brink. Who's the next to go extinct? Maybe us? Hey, that ain't cool. I don't want to end up as fossil fuel. Come on, everyone throughout the land. Act locally, make a stand. Act vocally, be defiant. Vote for folks who believe in science. Our Goldilocks planet pillaged for profit. When it's all used up, no way off it. A lucky few might leave in a rocket. But hey, deregulation works for me. Smog is a sign of prosperity. Inhale that fresh particulate matter. Forget that old ecology data. Solar, windmills, that's for losers. Anyway, beggars can't be choosers. And we will be begging, make no mistake. For the climate is a-changin'. Thank you.
Oh,
Yeah.
awesome. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Karen.
Right, Karen!
Thank you, Karen.
Right on. Right on.
Yes. Thank you very much, Karen. Next up is another good friend, and that's Tom Smith. And Tom Smith grew up in rural Pennsylvania in a family where music was part of the fabric of everyday life. As a young man living at the epicenter of the folk quake that was Cambridge, Mass. in the 1960s, Tom solidified what has become a lifelong love of self-made music. Now he's a folk veteran of over 40 years. He performs at festivals, coffee houses, schools, and concerts throughout the Northeast, and to audiences large and small, young and old. In the words of Dave Palmatier of WMB FM Boston, Tom writes songs that seem like they've always been there. He's a true folk singer. Please welcome, and his webpage is tomsmithmusic.com. Please welcome Tom Smith.
Thank you.
Hey,
Thank you,
Tom.
Mike. It's so wonderful to be here with all of you. And I think it's so great that you chose that you're acting locally. You chose two wonderful local areas to spend the money that's going to be brought in by this event. Thank you. Well, I'm going to do a song that I wrote about the time of the Paris Climate Summit. My goodness, was that 5 years ago now? I remember thinking then that how wonderful the Paris Climate Summit was and the agreement, but feeling a little desperate that maybe it wasn't going far enough and moving too slowly, and I was feeling discouraged. And when that happens, I tend to write a song to try to flip flip my emotion on that. So that's what I did. And in the first verse, you might recognize one of my inspirations, and especially those of you who are old school folkies. An old man on a stage, his age belies the power of his song. With a voice that may be shaky, he clearly sings of making right from wrong. Because he's old, he is told, time to bring your singing to an end. He replies, as long as I can play this banjo, I'll do the best I can. Yeah, I'll do the best I can. I don't listen to the noise. I wake up and take a stand, put my heart to my voice. Stones are smoothed by grains of sand, so even though I'm just one man, I do the best I can. That Phoebe in the rafters of my front porch does not stop to take a rest. When she hears that music flowing from her feathered offspring filling up her nests. To and fro, bugs in tow, on a task that never seems to end. So I ask her how she does it, and she tells me, I do the best I can. I do the best I can. I don't listen to the noise. I don't claim to understand. I don't have a choice, but I'll sing in the end. This is where it all began. That's why I do the best I can. Perhaps, how's it going? Sometimes I count myself among the many who are ready to give up. How about you? Perhaps we've started way too late and the distance is too great to make it up. But step by step we can get farther from the start than from the end. Yeah. For the sake of all our children and their children, I will do the best I can. Yeah, I'll do the best I can. I don't listen to the noise. I'll wake up and take a stand, put my heart into my voice. I will get there in the end, so I'll sing it once again. I will do the best I can. Just do the best you can. Don't listen to the noise. Wake up, take a stand, put your heart into your voice. We will get there in the end. Every woman, child, and man, do the best you can. We will get there in the end, if together, hand in hand, we do the best we can.
Oh, Tom, that was awesome. I love
Good one, Tom.
so much.
Thank you, Tom.
Thank you.
You are one of my favorites.
Yeah, me too.
And speaking of my favorites, you know, Karen begged us. She begged us to do a second song because she has such an appropriate song for this afternoon's performance. So I'm going to welcome back Karen Sauer to play a second song.
Yay, Karen!
Karen.
Thank you. Before I sing my song, I'm going to show you a few pictures, though. So I'll share my screen. And so keep California green and golden was a familiar phrase when I was growing up in California. Our family vacations were spent backpacking in the Sierras. This is my dad and my mom, Greg, Terry, me, and Paul. And our parents made our backpacks, actually. We didn't pack a tent. We slept outside. And we spent a lot of time above tree line, so at night we had a nice clear view of the sky. We went in early August, so we watched the Perseids meteor shower from our sleeping bags. A few years ago, my husband and I went to Glacier National Park in Montana. We hiked in an area that had been burned a couple of years previously. From a distance, the landscape looked pretty bleak. But when we entered the forest, we saw that a beautiful understory had grown up in the burn. Fireweed is one of the first plants to colonize burnt areas. There's a lot of information about fires in this beautifully written book by Norman Maclean. Young Men and Fire is an account of a tragedy in Montana in 1949. 13 smoke jumpers died. A smoke jumper is, yes, someone who jumps into a fire area. Women fight fires as well. These women are prisoners who elected to become firefighters while they were incarcerated. Climate change is helping to fuel bigger and worse forest fires. The deadliest and most destructive California wildfire so far took place in 2018. Named the Camp Fire, it claimed at least 85 human lives and countless wild and domestic animals perished. It burned 239 square miles. NBC News has a site where you can overlay the campfire on a map of your city. So 239 square miles encompasses where most of us on this call today live: Boston, Hull, Quincy. It's a lot of area. I wrote California Burnin' after the campfire. California's burning, the beautiful state where I was born, and I mourn the loss of the green and the golden. High Sierra summer, in a sleeping bag next to my brother, in the arms of the Milky Way, counting shooting stars. Now the sky is wearing a shroud and the smoke burns your eyes. California's burning, the beautiful state where I was born, and I mourn the loss of the green and the golden. Here's to those fighting fires, our sisters and brothers, risking their lives to save others. They face the flames. Here's to those who've lost everything, and to those who lost even more. California's burning, the beautiful place where I was born, and I mourn the loss of the green and the golden. California's burning, the beautiful state where I was born, and I mourn the loss of the green and the golden.
Oh, Karen, that was so beautiful. Thank you.
And so sad.
It really is.
Thank you, Karen.
Beautiful.
Really enjoyed it. Excellent.
Yes.
Thank you,
Thank you,
Don.
Karen.
Beautiful, sweetheart.
We'll let that one breathe for a second.
I love that song.
Oh, in fact, you know what? Well, I'll put up the. I was going to put up the donation thing again, but I'll do it in a minute. But I'm going to welcome our next performer, another good friend, Stephen B. Martin. Stephen, singer, songwriter, journalist, author. Stephen B. Martin is a lifelong activist who can sing Ann Feeney's "Have You Been to Jail for Justice" with authority, having been arrested more than once during direct actions. He's a one-time member of the Boston sound band Orpheus. Stephen still writes, performs, records, and produces. He produced Liberator, a redress of grievances, a compilation of Massachusetts artists performing songs of social justice, which is available on MGG Records. Please welcome Stephen Martin.
Hey, Stephen.
Yay. Thank you, Michael. I really do love that song, Karen. And it gets so sad. Lived in California 14 years, and I love it too. This is a little ditty about the apocalypse that I wrote in 2009 along with Eric the Snake Gullickson. And it's got a sing-along at the end. Hopefully you folks will join in, even though I can't hear you. You can hear yourselves. The words will be laddle, laddle, da, da. I'll repeat that. Laddle, laddle, da, da. Together it is laddle, laddle, da, da. You remember that? Rising and the house is swept away. Roll me in your love, and when the lights go out and we have reached the end of days, roll me in your love. Soft and gentle like the wind used to be, but you make everything alright. Shaking and we've done all that we can do. Roll me in your love. While the sun has gone away and the darkness never ends, roll me in your love. And when the gulf is burning and the end has come again, roll me in your love. Soft and gentle like the wind used to be. But you make everything alright, alright. If this old world is dying and you and me, we're so sick and tired of trying, no, 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 no. Roll me in your love. Hey now. Two old folkies playing on the porch, rocking easy all day long. Well, now they're both long gone, but their chairs keep rocking on and on. Rock me in your love. All right, you sing with me now. A ladle, ladle, da da, ladle, ladle, da da, ladle, ladle, da da, ladle, ladle, da da. Roll me in your love. Sing it again. A ladle, ladle, da da, ladle, ladle, da da, ladle, ladle, da da. Whoa, 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 whoa. Roll me in your love. I'll bring it down now. Ladle, ladle, da da, ladle, ladle, da da, ladle, ladle, da da. Yeah, 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 yeah. Roll me in your love. Acapella go. Ladle, ladle, da da, ladle, ladle, da da, ladle, ladle, da da. Hey now, hey now, hey now. Roll me in your love. Whoa, 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 whoa. Roll me in your love. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Roll me in your love.
Oh,
me in
that
love.
was awesome.
Thank you.
Friend, that was great. Thank you very much.
Fabulous.
Thank you, Stephen. You know,
Rock.
I didn't.
Thank you.
He didn't
God
mention
bless
it,
you.
but I
You
know
went there.
Stephen. I know Stephen especially through the Catbird Cafe open mic and the New England Wildlife Center. And when it's time to take a pledge break, his question is, "Why are we here?" To suffer and die. Nope, we're here.
Besides that,
Besides that, we're here to raise some funds for Save the Harbor, Save the Bay, free all-access Boston Harbor cruises, and you can donate to this cause by going directly to the Musicians for the Greater Good webpage, www.musiciansforthegreatergood.org. And there's a big red donate button, and that money all goes directly to Save the Harbor, Save the Bay, and they tally it as being raised by you and the Musicians for the Greater Good. So I want to make sure that you know that. And we're going to move right along to our next performer, who wins the award for the shortest bio. And I don't know David all that well, but I know of him very well. David Temelevich was born in Branford, Connecticut, but he lives in Ann Arbor, Michigan. And most importantly, he is a member of Mustard's Retreat with Libby Glover since 1975. And you can check him and his music out at www.mustardsretreat.com. So please welcome David Temelevich.
Thank you very much. I'm so pleased to be here. I was trying to be brief with my bio.
Yes, you did
And,
that.
Really, it's an honor. You know, Earth Day was one of the big founding reasons that I do music. And growing up in Brantford, we all went to the New Haven Green that day, and it just seemed so hopeful, so hopeful. And it's so odd to think it's so many years later, and there's still so much to hope for. This is a song inspired me. A fan of ours told me this story. He's a filmmaker, and he told me this story about a guy in Provence, France, and it was after the First World War, and it was there was a shell-shocked American vet who was walking. This is a story I was told, that was kind of wandering around and wandered up into the mountains and came upon a shepherd up there, and he stayed with him for quite a while. And every day that shepherd went out and into the devastation of that was the First World War, he planted 100 trees. And this ex-soldier healed and helped him with it, then came back to the United States to live for decades. Finally, towards the end of his life, he went back to find the guy, and the shepherd was gone, but there was a whole forest there. And I was so, you guys all know as writers, you know, when something just hits you there, it's like, you know, I think Claudia Schmidt calls it a low threshold of wonder, you know, that, I mean, something just clicks. And so this is not the story, but this is a story that came from what was told. But the original story was the man who planted trees. The man who planted trees, Jean Giono. He's French. There's a wonderful little animated movie made about that. But this is my song called Planting Trees. It's about the story about what one individual can do. A little bit west of nowhere is my town. A faded elegance falling down. Somewhere lost between the cracks. The world rushed through this place. Hope it never comes back. Politicians said, put your doubts aside. But spin is just another word for lie. They took this land, betrayed our trust, ground all our dreams away, left us tears and dust. So I started one September night. Sometimes you just do what you feel is right. With a shovel and some seedlings from a friend, and a will to try and make some kind of amends. I plant for you, I plant for me, I plant a prayer of hope with each and every tree. All for a world I'll never see. In the evenings you can find me planting trees. At first it was only me, and there wasn't much to see. Anger and despair still gripped the town. Leave it to the children to turn such things around. They started coming in ones and twos, wanting to know what they could do. And in this place where hope had died, they brought their joy of life, and the town regained its pride. They plant for you, they plant for me, they are the prayer of hope with each and every tree. All for a world they still may see. In the evenings you can find them planting trees. Sometimes I walk to start my day and watch the morning shadows play. Like tiny hands they reach and weave, and so the earth gives thanks, and I find that's all I need. We plant for you, we plant for me, we plant a prayer of hope with each and every tree, all for a world that still can be. In the evenings you can find us planting trees. We plant for you, we plant for me, we plant a prayer of hope with each and every tree, all for a world that still can be. In the evenings you can join us planting trees.
That was
Yes.
Thanks so much.
Thank you, David.
Thank you.
Proud of this.
That was great.
Great song.
Awesome.
I really like that song. And you sounded excellent. Your sound was awesome.
Yeah, it really was.
It was the best. All right. Next up is another good friend, and Angela Michelli. Angela is a singer, songwriter, guitarist with a powerful, wide-ranging, versatile voice. In addition, she's a poet, and her lyrics reflect her poetic language. She's performed widely in the Boston area as both a singer-songwriter and a poet. She's also a psychiatric nurse practitioner and is inspired by her patients' triumphs in overcoming the hardships and injustices of everyday life. She's traveled worldwide with her husband, Daniel Zampino, as her travels have influenced her musical writing and poetry. You can hear more of her music and poetry at angelamichelli.com. Please welcome Angela Michelli.
Thank you. Thank you. I think I am unmuted, but I noticed that Ron is unmuted too. Ron Israel.
Sorry.
Okay. Sorry about that. I want to thank the people that organized this, particularly Mike Delaney. I remember when you sang that first song you sang. I remember you singing it back in around early 2000 at Java Joe's. It's really amazing. This song actually I wrote 1999, and it's still very much applicable today. I was inspired by the book Earth in Balance, Al Gore. I've always been somebody that's totally into nature, but the name of the song is In the Palm of Our Hand. We have the earth in the palm of our hand, and what will be left for our children? Tossing seas and the water expands. Unleashed consumption devours our land. Ozone depletion rushed to seal the homes. Cancer rates are soaring, melanoma grows. Freon is the opium of today. We eat gasoline and drink acid rain dew. destroying rainforests and wiping out species. Noah's Ark is nowhere. Homeless living creatures speaking, can you hear their groan? Frogs struggle, illuminate our tainted waters. Unrefined industrial waste steadily seeps through. Fish in Seward rivers becomes a mystery. This world is in a crushing squeeze, and this is not TV. Be We have the earth in the palm of our hand, and what will be left for our children? Man is the steward of this land, not its master. This was never the plan. Man interferes with nature's rhythms. Ecological reminders bear witness to nature's way of diminishing us. The world's recycled thread is our healing web. The world's recycled thread is our healing web. We have the earth in the palm of our hand, and what will be left for our children?
Beautiful, Angela. Beautiful.
Beautiful, Angela.
So beautiful.
Thank you.
Nice.
Thank you, Angela.
That book was written in '09. No, what? It
That's
was written
1990.
1992.
Yep.
Yes, I remember. So I've known Angela quite a while, and I remember my favorite song of hers is "I Want to Be a Seagull." And I think of it whenever I'm out and I see seagulls. Yes, I want to be a seagull. So next up is the other half of the Angela and Dan duo. Dan Zampino is a stone sculptor, a poet, and a lawyer. Get that? A poet, a stone sculptor, and a lawyer. With a long history of social activism. He's traveled around the world in search of inspiration, incorporating his experiences into his art. He's also performed as a spoken word artist widely in the Boston area, and I miss the open mic that Angela and Dan used to have up in
Marblehead.
I get my towns mixed up. Marblehead. And so please welcome, accompanied by Angela, please welcome Dan Zampino.
Hey, Dan. Great to see you.
Thanks. Yes, I wrote this 5 days ago. And it only covers 65 million years. So, and Angela and I are going, we're experimenting with the happy drum.
This is the happy drum.
Yes. So, it's called The Day the Earth Outshone the Sun. Overture. Ferns and dinosaurs rise again. They are our coal and oil. Prologue. 6 mile extraterrestrial rock cracks the earthen shield, and for a day the earth shine more brightly than the sun. It's a simple matter of 1,000,000 of years, and the ferns and the dinosaurs melded into the rock and the soil, embedded in the memory of all life that life has bequeathed. A dragon's proposition. Why is all conscious life never seemingly free of snakes? Snakes are the umbilical bonds between us and the thunderous reptiles. Snakes swarm the fugitive figure of Shiva. A snake tempts Eve to suffer the fruits of knowledge. Snakes intersect the aesthetics of Mayan architecture until they blossom into visions of dragons. Shimmering monsters whose dreamy depths, like Kundalini, shuffle from the Mayan visionaries to Chinese emperors whose facsimiles maneuver in the miraculous cycles of calendar time. So is the dragon a haunting memory of the day the earth lit up the heavens? Evolution. Shamed by our nakedness, we harness sound, melded into languages, and organize hunts and seizures of animals larger than our skins. Masters of the earth, we celebrate how we have stolen the flames from the heavens in order to make weapons. We celebrate that we are the masters of the universe, that the gods have designed visions of stars for us, stars we haven't even heard of. We are masters of concealment as well, for if the gods and the snakes and the dragons learned of our transgressions, they would destroy us, like they did the dinosaurs. We chronicle our importance in legends and song and memory, but still our dreams and dreads of dragons stalk us like poisonous snakes. Snake in the garden. Women are the seers, closer to dreams, matrons of the garden. Women are bearers of berries, bearers of children, bearers of time, bearers of the implausible, the measure of aging and death. Time is guided by the moon, the menstrual moon. Women are curious while men are afflicted by the eviscerations of brute strength. Women want to know what there is to know. The snake once whispered into their earth mother's curious ear, binding her to the time when dinosaurs commanded intelligence. She knew of the consequence of her love of knowledge. Her knowledge would ensnare civilization in a cycle of predictability and drudgery. The triumph of money. What was our escape from this endless predictability of drudgery? Dinosaurs were the hunters, ferns the alleviated fruits of their hungers until the earth had outshone the sun, and the dinosaurs and the ferns became the earth itself. Yet when we sleep, they invade our dreams, warded off by the simple pleasures of commerce, fruitful and multiplied, a simple exercise of surplus that produced veneration for our innovation. Supplant the feminine love of berries with the fortitude of crops, as hunters are pummeled into servitude, turned into slaves, inducing the master to act as Godhead, the many faces of creation, validating the allure of suppression. Gold, the mineral that weaves madness into the arc of survival, is embedded into commerce. A survival through strength that expunges the effete premise of female primacy in the man's name of war and empire and plantation. Yet the mineral doesn't matter. Money is in the social bloodstream. He who dies with the most money stands in the shadows of dinosaurs. a reasonable apocalypse. We have always known of the thunder lizards who roamed these lands before the earth outshone the sun. But a medieval chronicler, a disperser of truth, extols the discovery at Drake's Farm on the eve of the great American nation's unraveling. Ancient ferns, renamed coal, had already stirred the heartland flames, just as the thunder lizard, thanks to Drake, is stirred to life in the semblance of oil. Petro. Dinosaurs and their remnants breathed new life in a nation industrializing. Reasonable in all its ingestion of the mind of man. Flames, flames, flames. Only art separates we humans from our natural kin, monkeys, lions, horses, art and fire. From the fire we hone civilization on every continent. But now the reasonable, like a roadway warrior, veers us into an apocalypse. In the shadow are the men of science, usurpers of Eve's curiosity, in the act of recreating the very life that beget them. As they breathe a new dragon life into the rudiments of dinosaurs, whose sequestering as oil needs only an industrial match to set its reptilian resuscitation into flames. Flames of steel, cars, electricity, tar roads, electronics, daisy bombs, mushroom bombs the size of dinosaurs, as dinosaurs breathe new dragon life into the omnivorous restoration, and the world begins to resemble a Cretaceous garden. Gone is the segmented shivering of glaciers, the impenetrable rocky shoreline, the ingenuity of smaller creatures who presume their worldliness would manifest as destiny. Gone are the great land masses. Gone is the industry that celebrates civilization as extinct as memory. The relativity of extinction. Why did Shiva awaken in a viper's nest? Why did the Maya dream dreams of snakes, snaking them into tunnels of illumination? What bitterness did Eve at the snake's behest know that she and Adam would see like us, the Lord's beguiling words, see like us that nothing ever dies, that the dinosaurs and the ferns live inside our cars and computers. Even when the day did arrive that the earth outshone the sun, the dinosaurs and the ferns became embedded in our dreams, so that we, in our time, had stirred them up. But how? In this modern manly instigation of an industrial fury, where we proclaim the treachery of a prosperous life without end. It is written in the book of time. Oil and coal are human inventions. Oil and coal are dinosaurs and ferns. So when we stir them in our industrial exuberance, we instill their return, but only to a climate suitable for their dominion. Glaciers no longer exist. Oceans in their flow and ebb invigorate a wall of water to pummel our acidified lands. Nothing ever dies, but things begin to disappear. Manly contemporaries, purveyors of civilization, we may yet, in our induced calamity, find shelter in the hidden caves of our wisdom as we begin our underground sojourn, asking ourselves all the while, when did we become the agency for our own extinction? Through the bloodstreams of our machinery flow the manifests of dinosaurs and ferns until they resume primacy over their long-lived patrimony, seizing control over the planet once more and for the next 100 million years. Cretaceous life returns and becomes what it was the day before the earth outshone the sun.
Oh my God.
Oh,
Wrote that on Earth
You've
Day.
outdone yourself. You've outdone yourself this time, my friend.
That was a magnum opus.
We were just experimenting.
Magnum opus.
Anyway,
He's
the
had
happy.
this theory for a long time, and I said, write it.
Yeah.
Oh, that was beautiful. Yeah, and the happy drum was perfect.
Yes, the
Oh,
happy
thank
drum.
you.
Yeah.
Thank
All
you.
right. All right. Thank you.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Thank
By
you.
the way,
who
thank
else?
you all for letting us do this
Yes.
and for being a part of this. This is really extraordinary, and I want to be on that ferry.
Yes, yes, you should. And thank you, Dan. Thank you, Angela. And who else could put 65 million years into one poem? So we're gonna move right along. We have a few more performers. Jan Sides, singer-songwriter Jan Sides, writes and performs original, lyrics-driven, award-winning songs that combine uptown sophistication with down-home truth.
Must be up there.
They have been presented with style and spirit in prestigious venues in the U.S., the Middle East, and Europe. She is. You can find more about her at jansides.com. Jan, SEIDES.com. Please welcome Jan Sides.
Thank you so much. That poem was utterly amazing and presented an idea that never even crossed my mind. I loved that. So the song I'm going to do for you is not specifically about the climate. It's not specifically about anything, but I can tell you when it was written. There is Folk Alliance, I'm sure most of you are familiar with. The Southwest Regional Folk Alliance happens about 4 blocks from here every year. It's my favorite one. And that's because it happens about 4 blocks from here every year. And my favorite thing about SWRFA is that when you collect your registration materials, you are also given an opportunity to fish a little piece of paper out of a fishbowl. And that is your prompt for a song that you're to write this weekend. You get that on Thursday afternoon, and you present your song at brunch on Sunday, which it sounds arduous considering that there's workshops and showcases all night, and then singing Beatles songs until the wee hours of the morning. So like, when are you going to write this song? But everybody does it. So this weekend happened to be a couple years ago during the Brett Kavanaugh hearings. And my prompt, which to be honest, I can't remember exactly what it was, but it induced something about the serenity prayer. The God grant me the serenity to accept what I cannot change, the courage to change the things I can, and the wisdom to know the difference, which never fails to choke me up. And this song was based on that and the prompt and the fact that Christine Blasey Ford was in Congress trying to present the reasons why Brett Kavanaugh should not be a Supreme Court justice. And I wrote, it's a cappella because I wrote it specifically for people to march with. And marching with a piano or a guitar is much more difficult than it should be, I think. Gonna lay my serenity on the line now. I'm laying my serenity on the line. I used to be adaptable, but now I must decline to accept what I know needs changing. And I'm laying my courage on the line now. I'm laying my courage on the line. Used to go along to get along like I was deaf and blind. Now I can't accept what I know needs changing. And I'm not apologizing anymore. No, I'm not apologizing anymore. And I'm not apologizing anymore. 'Cause I'm not sorry. I am laying my wisdom on the line now. I'll be laying my wisdom on the line, and I'll keep on persisting, and I never will resign, and I won't accept what I know needs changing.
Bravo. That was
Yes, indeed.
Oh, wow.
Thank you.
Thank you, sister.
No needs changing.
Thank you for that.
Thank you so much.
I like that.
Thank you, Jan.
Thank you.
Now that I'm vaccinated, I want to get out there and start marching.
There you go.
to get back to it. So thank you, Jan Seides. Next up, Ron Israel is one of the founders, along with Stephen Martin, of Musicians for the Greater Good. And so our next performer is Ron Israel. He has been writing songs since he was 12. His work focuses on expressions of life, love, and world in which we live. His work has been praised by the late John Hammond Sr. of Columbia Records, Richie Havens, Barry McGuire, and NPR's Susan Stamberg. You can check him out at www.ronisraelmusic.com. Please welcome my good friend, Ron Israel.
Thank you, Mike.
Hey, Ron. Good to see you, my friend.
Thank you. I'm unmuted. I'm unbuttoned. I'm ready. So this week, I'm just going to start with a little political update. This week was a really good week for climate change and the environment because not only did the U.S. rejoin the Paris Agreement that had left during the Trump administration, but and Biden presided over a global summit, presidents of countries, including such disparate people as Putin and Netanyahu. But more importantly, the Biden administration came out with a renewed Paris Agreement climate commitment to cut in half the amount of greenhouse gas emissions in the United States within 10 years by 2030. And that is the recommendation that has been put forth by the Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change. They say we don't have a lot of time left to work on this. Countries have to step up to the plate. So Biden's announcement was quite big. I should also note that the city of Boston also has made that commitment, cutting in half its greenhouse gas emissions by 2030. So here you have the local and the global. And although the theme of this concert, understandably, is to act locally, because when push comes to shove, that's where the fight to combat climate change is going to be won or lost. There's also a global element to it that should not be forgotten. This song is called Cry of the World. See that big glacier melting away? You know there's gonna be hell to pay. All that ice going to the sea, sending a message to you and me. It's the cry of the world, the cry of the world. Someone do something, it's the cry of the world. There's a fire in the forest that's on a roll. Lots of firefighters can't control. No one knows where the wind will blow. It changes course, it refuses to go away. It's the cry of the world, the cry of the world. Someone do something, it's the cry of the world. Animals in the jungle, those overhead, those out in the desert and on the ocean bed, can't make a living, get enough to eat. They're telling us, they're warning us, they're gonna be extinct. It's the cry of the world, the cry of the world. Someone do something, it's the cry of the world. And here comes a virus out to get revenge. Different ideas about its origins. Doesn't really matter, 'cause here's where it's at. You mess around with nature, and nature strikes back. The cry of the world, the cry of the world. Someone do something, it's the cry of the world. And then there are the people who don't have a clue how dangerous it is to do what they do. Love for convenience, doing them in. All God's creatures screaming back at them. The cry of the world, the cry of the world. Someone do something, it's the cry of the world. Someone do something, it's the cry of the world.
Beautiful, Ron.
Oh, yeah.
I like that.
Love it.
Thank you, Ron. Thank you for everything you do and for all of your wonderful songs, including that one. We're going to move on to our next performer, A.G. Hammond. A.G. Hammond was born and raised in Asheville, North Carolina. She's been performing as a singer, writing, and producing music for about 30 years. She's a survivor of domestic violence and is an advocate for domestic violence survivors, human rights, with a focus on indigenous peoples of the United States and the eradication of racism. She has a degree from the Art Institute of Atlanta, is a graphics and fine artist, and a U.S. Army veteran with a broadcast journalism degree from the Defense Information School at Fort Meade, Maryland. Her favorite job is, and always has been, being a mom of 4 children. You can check her out on soundcloud.com as A.G. Hammond. Please welcome A.G. Hammond.
Hello, everybody. Can you hear me? Am I hearable? Thumbs up? You can hear me. Okay. We are so sorry. We came in late and we didn't get to see a lot of the performances, and we have had a lot of technical difficulties, so I apologize. With me today, I have my good friend, Brooks Butler of Cult of Kings in Asheville, North Carolina. He's also a music teacher at Claxton Elementary in Asheville, North Carolina. And I just thank you for being patient with us. We've done a lot of moving around, so thank you very much. So interestingly, Mr. Israel, your and my song kind of echo each other, and I felt like that was a good segue. I don't know if that was on purpose or just the universe kind of doing that, but the song that I have is called She Won't Remember, and I wrote it in 2012. You know, these climate things have been going on for a very long time. So 2012 was when this song was done. So, and we're still working with it, right? That's a while back. So without further ado, She Won't Remember. One day you'll discover is your mother with all of your dastard deeds. Why you gotta go change all of the B's and C's? What of your intentions with your monster invention? One day you'll see the tide tilting on the shore with the dark side of the moon at night. And when the wind turns purple, you'll know how you mistreated her. And your mother, she won't remember you. Won't remember you. Farmers at Grossman, strangest seasons don't change. Colorful the chemicals, all the crazy rain. We're cold generations, kill all good vibrations. You don't know what you do. Slowly but some bringing the winter into you. And if the water turns a blood red, you know
was beautiful, Angie.
Oh, beautiful, wonderful. Thank you.
Good. Thank you, guys. That was great. All the way from North Carolina. And if you run into Andrea and Chris Wilhelm, say hi to them for us. We've
I
got
sure
one.
will. In fact,
Yes.
they're the ones that turned me on to you guys. So yeah. Hi, Chris and Andrea, in case you're watching. Thank you.
Yes. Andrea Kulish is our webmaster. We really appreciate that. She's done excellent work for us. We have one more performer before we bring Terry Kitchen back for a final song, and he is Sherman Whipple. And Sherman Whipple is a singer, songwriter, political activist since 1968, beginning with the anti-war movement, music, and folk festivals in New York, Long Island. Long Island Cares benefits, before he relocated to Massachusetts in 1976. We still think of him as a, outsider, but that's okay. Please welcome our good friend Sherman Whipple.
Yeah, babe.
Thank you.
Hey, Sherman, great to see you.
This is a great cause. The Save the Harbor, Save the Bay, and the focus of engaging more people in it through the free ferry rides is a critical part. That it's one thing to protect things and save things, but it's even more important to share them with the community. This song I'm going to do is one I wrote many, many years ago, not for myself, but for another artist who was performing at Seabrook, and dusted it off a few years ago, and it's still relevant today. It's called Legacy. In the presence of all, in soundness of mind, I leave you this will, I include all mankind. There be something for all, a small gift or two, in the space of one lifetime, it's the least I could do. In the years that I lived and I walked on this land, I moved mountains, changed rivers with a touch of my hand. Now stand back in wonder, even now I'm not through. I've one more surprise, especially for you. Can you guess what it is, wrapped in lead and white stone? It's yours now to have, but never to own. And don't try to hide it, not deep in the ground. There's no place on earth it'll never be found. It's not that I didn't love you. It's not that I don't care. It's just I've needed more power, and I've left you my burden to bear. So to children unborn, I leave my surprise. Hold out your hands now and open your eyes. And on to the future, there's hope for you still. If for the half-life of plutonium, you cherish my will. It's not that I didn't love you. It's not that I don't care. It's just I've needed more power, and I've left you my burden to bear. So when atomic reactors are a thing of the past, you still have my garbage to hold till the last. And judge in hindsight the wrong or the right of your forefathers' folly when they lit up the night. You know, it's not that I didn't love you. It's not that I don't care. It's just I've needed more power, and I've left you my burden to bear.
What a fine song.
Beautiful.
Amazing.
Sherman never heard that before. Oh my God.
Thank you, Sherman.
Is
I
that
will say,
recorded somewhere? Has that been recorded somewhere?
I think I may have done a Reverb Nation recording or something, and I have. I think pretty sure I have a YouTube of it.
It's beautiful.
Thank you.
thank you very much, Sherman. And so before I bring back Terry Kitchen for a final song, I want to show the donation link again. So this recording is going to be archived on our YouTube channel, and we'll post it on our musiciansforthegreatergood.org webpage when I get a chance. But I want to invite you all, if you haven't yet, to donate to the Save the Harbor, Save the Bay free all-access Boston Harbor cruises. There's a big red donation button on our musiciansforthegreatergood.org webpage. I want to thank Chris Mancini from Save the Harbor, Save the Bay for being with us tonight with his daughter. I want to thank all the performers. It's been a really wonderful show. And I want to especially thank the Musicians for the Greater Good organizers, Sherman Whipple, Andrea Kulish, Kathy Donlin, Karen Sauer, Neil Braverman, and especially the founders, Stephen Martin and Ron Israel. And at the end, if anyone wants to say something after Terry, that would be great. But
We'd like to thank Joan Delaney.
And Joan Delaney. Oh, I'm in big trouble. Yes.
And Mike Delaney.
Thank you. She's good trouble. So please welcome back for a closing song, Terry Kitchen.
Well, thank you so much. It has been great to hear everyone's contributions, songs and poems and beautiful thoughts. And really what it all comes down to is, is the earth worth saving? And personally, I would say yes. And I think everyone here agrees with me. And I think if you really just put it that simply, everybody everywhere is going to say yes. So we just got to get off our butts and do it. I don't know if there's a God up in heaven. I don't know where we go when we die. All I know is I'm here and I'm grateful for each day that I'm alive. I look around and I see so much beauty. Well, everywhere I turn, and each new day I'm reminded how much there is to learn. So here is the faith that I carry in my heart for what it's worth. We don't have to wait for heaven. We've got heaven here on earth. And each blade of grass is important and depends on each drop of rain. And each one of us has our story, but yet we're all the same. We all want what's best for our children. We all need the comfort of friends. We all need to trust through the winter. that spring will come again. So here is the faith that I carry in my heart for what it's worth. We don't have to wait for heaven. We've got heaven here on earth. So here is the faith that I carry in my heart for what it's worth. We don't have to wait for heaven. We've got heaven here on earth. We've got heaven here on earth.
Oh, Terry.
Yeah, babe. That's Terry Kitchen. What a beautiful song.
Really beautiful.
That's so beautiful.
Thank you.
Thank you for sharing your heart with us.
What a great song to end with. Thank
Yeah.
you very much, Terry Kitchen. And
Yes.
Ron, did you want to say anything? Or?
No, I just want to thank all of our musicians for the greater good, musicians and performers for coming out and showing their support for this particular concert, this important cause. And we're going to try to keep this up. Musicians for the Greater Good is a network of musicians that believe in using the power of protest and social justice music to support contemporary causes and issues. Next month, we're going to try, if we can pull this off, on May 30th to do a concert, a peace concert with a particular focus on peace between Israelis and Palestinians. So stay tuned. We'll give you more information about this event as it gets organized, and hopefully some of you can participate in that as well.
Okay, thank you, Ron. So now that we've saved the planet, next month we'll find peace in the Middle East.
Right.
I just want to say that I'm just looking forward. I just want to say I'm looking forward to the day when we can all walk across that spit with our instruments and have a nice concert on Thompson Island.
There you go.
There you go.
All right, we'll work on that one.
Great thing.
All right, thank you, everybody. Have a wonderful evening, and we'll
Thank
see you again next month.
All right. Thank you,
Thank
Mike.
you. Thanks,
Mike and
everybody.
Joan.
God bless.
Thanks,
everyone.
Wonderful, wonderful afternoon. Wonderful show. Thank you.
Thanks to everybody on YouTube as well, and for the donation.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
guys are
So
awesome.
much love.
Good to see you, Joan.
Yeah.
Love you. Bye.
Love you too.
Thanks so much, Joan, for your part, and everybody else. This was a great.
Thanks, everybody.
All right.
Thank
Night,
you,
everyone.
Neil. Thank you, Neil. Thank you, Neil.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Thank
great
you,
job,
Neil.
Neil.
Thank you all, everybody. Please be well, be safe, and careful driving home, please. Good night, everybody. Be